The wind whispers through Spanish Fork Canyon, carrying secrets on its breath. Old secrets, dark secrets, secrets that have been buried deep within the canyon walls for generations, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The air is thick with the weight of untold stories, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echoes of the past, secrets of a ghost town named Thistle, swallowed by the earth years ago. Once a thriving community, Thistle now lies in ruins, a haunting reminder of nature's unforgiving power. The town was abandoned in haste, leaving behind remnants of lives once lived. Homes, schools, and businesses now stand as silent witnesses to the tragedy that befell this place. And secrets of the Midnight Bee-Man, a shadowy figure said to wander Thistle's ruins. Legend has it that he appears only under the cover of darkness, his presence heralded by the faint hum of bees. Some say he was once a beekeeper, driven mad by the loss of his family and the disaster that consumed Thistle. Now he roams the desolate streets, searching for something, or someone, lost to time. Some say he's a vengeful spirit forever bound to the town he once called home. They believe his soul cannot rest until he has exacted revenge on those he holds responsible for his suffering. His anger is palpable, a force that can be felt by anyone who dares to venture into Thistle after dark. Others say he's something far stranger, something not quite human. They whisper of a creature born of sorrow and rage, a being that defies explanation. This entity, they claim, is neither man nor beast, but something caught in between, a manifestation of the town's collective grief and despair. But all agree on one thing: to meet the Midnight Bee-Man is to invite terror into your heart. Those who have encountered him speak of an overwhelming sense of dread, a paralyzing fear that grips them and refuses to let go. They describe his eyes as empty voids, his touch as cold as death. To see him is to confront the darkest parts of your own soul, and few emerge unscathed from the encounter. Thistle wasn't always a ghost town. Once it was a bustling hub, a place where trains roared through, carrying coal and timber. Families lived there, children played in the streets, and the future seemed bright. Then the rains came. Days of relentless downpour swelled the Spanish Fork River, turning it into a raging torrent. The river breached its banks, engulfing Thistle in a devastating flood. Homes were swept away, businesses destroyed, lives lost. And when the waters receded, all that remained was mud, debris, and silence. 4 teenagers, restless and bored on a summer night, dared to venture into the canyon. They were drawn by the legend of Thistle, the thrill of the unknown, the adrenaline rush of fear. There was Jake, the daredevil, always pushing the limits. Emily, the skeptic, trying to mask her apprehension. Ben, the quiet one, observant and easily spooked. And Chloe, the adventurous one, eager to prove her bravery. They huddled around a flickering campfire, the darkness pressing in on them, whispering tales of the Midnight Bee-Man. Their car bumped along the old dirt road, the headlights cutting through the thick darkness. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying wood. They parked at the edge of what was once Thistle, the silence broken only by the chirping of crickets and the distant hoot of an owl. As they stepped out of the car, a shiver ran down Emily's spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, their every move scrutinized by unseen eyes. They walked cautiously through the ruins, their flashlights dancing over crumbling walls and shattered windows. A low hum began to vibrate in the air, barely audible at first, then growing steadily louder. It seemed to emanate from the very heart of the ghost town, a deep, resonant buzz that sent shivers down their spines. Jake, ever the skeptic, dismissed it as a generator or some other mundane explanation. But the others couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, something unnatural. As they rounded a corner, their flashlights caught a glimpse of something truly unsettling. A swarm of insects, their tiny bodies glowing with an eerie luminescence, swirled in the air above the remnants of the town square. The buzzing grew louder, deafening now as the swarm descended, forming a swirling vortex of light and sound. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, raising goosebumps on their arms and sending prickles of fear down their spines. The teenagers froze, their blood turning to ice in their veins. The insects were not fireflies as they had first thought, but something far more sinister. They were bees, their eyes glowing with an eerie yellow light, their wings humming with a menacing drone. And then they saw him, standing in the center of the swirling swarm, a tall, shadowy figure, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. The Midnight Bee Man. He raised a hand, his long, bony fingers beckoning them closer. Section 8. Flight through the night. Terror lent them wings. They turned and fled, scrambling over debris, their hearts pounding in their chests. The buzzing pursued them, the swarm a relentless pursuer. Jake tripped, falling heavily, his flashlight rolling away into the darkness. He scrambled to his feet, his breath coming in ragged gasps, and ran on, fueled by pure adrenaline. They didn't dare look back, terrified of what they might see. The buzzing seemed to grow louder, closer, as if the swarm were gaining on them. Section 9. Vanished without a trace. In the heart of the night, under a sky devoid of stars, the ghost town of Thistle lay in eerie silence. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, broken only by the occasional rustle of the wind through the abandoned buildings. They burst out of the ruins and into the relative safety of the open road, their lungs burning, their legs screaming for respite. The group had been running for what felt like hours, their hearts pounding in their chests, driven by a primal fear. The ruins behind them seemed to whisper secrets of a time long forgotten, but they had no time to ponder the past. They piled into the car, Jake slamming the doors shut, the sound echoing in the stillness of the night. The darkness seemed to press in on them, a tangible force that threatened to swallow them whole. The car was their only sanctuary, a fragile barrier between them and the unknown horrors lurking in the shadows. He fumbled with the keys, his hand shaking, and finally managed to start the engine. The car roared to life, a beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. Every second felt like an eternity as they waited for the engine to catch, their breaths held in anxious anticipation. They roared away from Thistle, the car bouncing over the rough terrain, leaving the ghost town and its secrets behind. The road ahead was treacherous, filled with potholes and debris, but they didn't care. All that mattered was putting as much distance as possible between them and the nightmare they had just escaped. As they sped down the canyon road, they risked a glance back. The swarm was gone. The buzzing had ceased. The silence was almost deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just endured. It was as if the town of Thistle had swallowed the Midnight Bee Man whole, erasing any trace of his existence. The Midnight Bee Man had vanished without a trace. The legend of the Midnight Bee Man had haunted the town for generations, a tale whispered in hushed tones around campfires. Some said he was a guardian, others a curse. But now, as the group drove away, they couldn't help but wonder if they had just witnessed the end of an era, or the beginning of a new, even more terrifying chapter. Section 10. The legend lives on. They never spoke of that night again. The memory lingered, a dark stain on the tapestry of their youth. Was it real? Or was it just a figment of their overactive imaginations, fueled by campfire stories and teenage bravado? They couldn't say for sure. But the legend of the Midnight Bee Man lived on in their whispers, a chilling reminder of the night they stared into the abyss of the unknown. Section 11. A haunting reminder. This chapter delves into the eerie and unsettling remnants of a once thriving town, now left to the whispers of the wind and the shadows of the past. Back in Thistle, the wind continued to whisper through the ruins, carrying with it the secrets of the past. The echoes of laughter, the cries of sorrow, and the mundane conversations of everyday life now lost to time, all seemed to blend into the haunting melody of the wind. The ghost town stood silent, a testament to the power of nature and the fragility of human existence. Buildings that once bustled with life now stood as hollow shells, overtaken by creeping vines and the relentless march of nature reclaiming its territory. The contrast between the man-made structures and the encroaching wilderness was stark and unsettling. And somewhere in the depths of the canyon, the Midnight Bee Man waited. Legends spoke of his presence, a spectral figure shrouded in mystery and fear. Some said he was a guardian of the forgotten. Others believed he was a harbinger of doom. waiting for the next group of unsuspecting souls to stumble upon his domain. His presence was felt more than seen, a chilling reminder of the unknown dangers that lurked in the shadows. The canyon, with its dark recesses and eerie silence, seemed to amplify the sense of dread, waiting to remind them that there are some places where humans are not meant to tread. These places, abandoned and forgotten, held a certain power, a reminder of the limits of human ambition and the ever-present force of nature. Places where the veil between the living and the dead wears thin. Places like Thistle. Here the boundary between the present and the past seemed almost non-existent, as if the spirits of those who once lived there still roamed the empty streets, forever bound to the land they once called home. The fog that often enveloped the town added to the sense of otherworldliness, blurring the lines between reality and the supernatural.